Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Francisco Otero, application engineer. We are right about noontime. We'll give that traditional 2 minutes. We'll start in 2 minutes, so let people come in. I still see people joining in. And then we'll get started. Again, starting in 2 minutes. Thank you. All right, 1 more minute and we'll get started. Hey, good morning, everyone. I just said a bunch of things and my mic was in mute. That's awesome. So thanks for joining us. This is Francisco Otero. I'm the ACM Senior Sales Engineer for Vigilon. Today, we're going to cover ACM groups, profiles, policies, and templates. Can someone on my team just confirm that you can hear me okay and slides are up?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, slides okay?
Yeah, you're on Lunch and Learn.
Okay, awesome. So, all right, so here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about groups, profiles, policies, and templates, all related to mass updating information in ACM. Some of the applications we can do with it, how you configure it, and different from some previous Lunch and Learns we've done. I'm going to go ahead and do a live demo in between slides, so you'll see me going from slides back and forth. So we're going to switch from slides to the application and back. Questions at any time, just go ahead and drop the questions in the questions section of this, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to start with a poll here real quick, just to get a pulse from if you guys have seen this before. So let's go ahead and launch a poll here real quick. If you have your screen maximized, go ahead and hit escape in your keyboard so you come off of maximize, and you should be able to see the poll right by size or behind it, and we will appreciate if you guys can answer that. Again, we'll give another, we'll give a 45 seconds or so, and then I'll close the poll. Interesting. Some interesting results. That's pretty cool. All right, we'll give another 10 seconds, and I'll go ahead and close it. If for some reason you can't see or you can't answer it, the question is, what functionality below have you used before? None, profiles, policies, or templates. If for some reason you can't see it, you can answer that on the questions. So just put your comment in there. We'd appreciate that too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this poll right now. Thank you so much for participating, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna talk about first groups. Groups are, and it says right there at the bottom, is the first step you need to create any mass updates, any batch updates. We need a group. We need a group of hardware. We need a group of identities, and you can group in many different ways. So you can group doors, inputs, outputs. That's on the hardware side, and then you also can group identities and roles. So we'll see. We'll dive more into that. So groups is important because with groups we can apply, for example, an identity profile to do a batch updating identity. We can also use groups to batch update door configuration, do some of that as well. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. Let me go ahead and switch here real quick. And here is under rows, you're gonna see groups. So you can go over there. I already have a bunch of groups created. So I'm gonna go ahead and create one so you get an idea how that works. So I can go in here and give this a name, typical to ACM. When you first start something, you see there's very minimum items in the screen. What we're trying to do is guide you in a very easy way to perform that. So let's say I'm gonna go ahead and do an identity identity group. Let's call this, yeah, an identity group. Nothing in specific. So I can go ahead and save that. And then once you do that, those things will come up. So here in members, I can go ahead and create identities. So I mean, I can go and pick a group in different ways. So I can do identities, areas, doors, cameras, a bunch of different things. So for example, I need to update some panels, or I want to take some panels offline. I can go ahead and create a group and in one shot just put them all offline. Okay. Or I want to do an identity group. I think identity is pretty interesting because you have more features here. And so be aware of this. You can group in many different ways, right? So I can go and say, I want to search by a specific field. Maybe I want to group by, let's say, department. So here's my department, and I want to go ahead and pick one of my departments. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and do engineer. Let's see if I have someone in engineering. Oh, nobody. Okay, so let's pick accounting. So if I do that, here it is. I have a group of people, and I can move them over, right? I can also add new criteria down here. So I can add more criteria. So I want to get anyone from the accounting department that has a active status, for example. In my system, they're all active right now, but if I had anyone that was inactive, I could go ahead and filter it out. I want to get everyone that is active. I get everyone that is inactive. So and you can keep adding filters to filter it down and narrow it down for that group of people that you want to have. Once you have the group, you just go ahead and highlight them. So I'm selecting all of them, and then you just move it over and get that over there. Okay, so that's one way of adding a group of people. There's another way. So if we're talking about identities, I could, in the identity itself, as I create that new identity, as I work with that identity, I could add that identity to a group of people, to a group. So I can go to the identity, go right here to groups. Notice that this person already is in a group, some groups. I can go in here and pick another group that I want to add this person into, right there, the one that I've created, and then I can assign that, right? So later on, I can go and search. Yeah, I want to leave that. I can go here and clear search, and I can search on the group. So I can go here and search. Here's my Disney group. I can go ahead and hit search on that, and the characters will come up. Okay, so that's how you work with the groups. Again, I can group doors, I can group identities. There's a bunch of different ways to group, and the concept is that you're going to use that to do a batch or mass update of some sort. Okay, back to the presentation. So that's group right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at profile. So profile allow you to update identities. So I can create it's basically a template for identities. So I can go in there and create the configuration that I want for an identity, and I can specify that to a group of identities. So once again, group, very important, right? So I gotta go and define the groups first. I can also use to standardize how I add identities into ACM. So in a day-to-day, if I want to add identities, let's say, for example, that I have a contractors, and by default, my contractors will get 90 days credential. The credential will work for 90 days, for example. I can go and create a profile and specify in that profile that the credentials by default will expire in 90 days. So then every time I create a new identity, I'll have the option to go and add that. Okay, so those are the kind of things that that we can use. Also keep in mind that when we're doing a batch update in identities, if you have more than 10 items, more than 10 identities, ACM will schedule that update usually 3 minutes later. So you set the batch update, you tell them to run, and ACM will take about 3 minutes to run that. What we're doing that is setting ACM in setting that function, setting that request in a different part of the system where the system can take that a more proactive, a better performance approach to that. So it will get a better performance out of that, less impact in the system operation. Okay, so that's why we do that. So it's automatically will run behind the scenes. You'll get a message telling you that this will take a little bit of time. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and switch system again, and we're going to do some identity updates. I'm going to go ahead and clear that. Here, let's go to profile. So this is where you create a profile right there. So I'm going to create a profile here. And you will see how I can use that to update some records. So let's say this will be a contractor identity. Okay. And with that, status will be active. Department here, I'm going to leave in blank. This will be a contractor, and you can go ahead and specify other fields in here. So let's say this will be in the north building, and this will be for my main building, and this will be in Alabama, and so on and so forth. And you specify things like that. Once again, once I hit save, watch what's going to happen. It's going to give me more options, okay? So next, and will take me through this. So next one is rows. So now I have a bunch of other options here. In rows, I can specify a couple of things. So assign equal. This is usually used when I already have someone that has rows assigned to that person or to that group of person, and I want to wipe them all out and replace them with something else. So whatever I put them over here will replace their existing roles. Okay, in this case, I just want to add. So let's say I'm going to give this a access to the main entrance, and this particular group of contractors also work in some other areas here. So I'm going to go ahead and give them access to the 6th floor, for example. Okay, and I'll go ahead and hit save. Here comes token. I can go here, and whatever I leave in blank, system will assume their main function, the way the system is designed. In this case, I'm going to limit this to a 90 days. Okay, so I want this token to expire within 90 days from the moment I create that token. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And that's pretty much it. I could go ahead and add them here to a group as well. So I could create here a group and assign a group of contractors if I want to do that. So that will be easier for me to create. So the idea is go create the group name first, and then that group will be here as well. Okay, there's other areas. Those are all user-defined fields in my system, so I could assign user-defined fields as well. I could put information in the user-defined fields. Here's some of my, I call them my certifications. I can go and add dates into that and other things. So all this information you can pre-populate if you want to. Okay, in this case, I just want to do that. I'm going to save it again just in case. And now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Identities, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new identity. Okay, when I do that, because I've created a profile, this screen will come up. If you have a brand new system and you don't have any profiles, this screen will not show. Okay, only when you create your first profile. And then I can come over here and click in this contractor. Now, take a look at this area right here. You see how this is blank right now? Watch what happens when I click OK. It pre-populates the information that I added to the system. It was right there, Alabama and everything else, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and enter the name of that person. I'm going to enter Mr. John Smith. And that's it. I'm not going to enter anything else. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Watch what happens now. Remember that, oh yeah, my browser has my login saved by default, so it will populate it automatically. I don't want that. So all right, when I do that, notice that now it brings this by default. Okay, these are the rows that are assigned by default. This is great when you're doing you're trying to add new identities and you want to standardize. This way you don't miss the rows they're supposed to have. It's a really helpful way for an operator to standardize and to make sure that they add the necessary elements and the necessary permissions to those identities, depending which groups, right? So I'm doing a contract as an example. Think about, I have multiple buildings. I want to create a profile for building A, and I want to create another profile for building B. So when I'm assigning permission, when I'm assigning users or identities here, I'm entering new identities, I can go ahead and use those profiles and pre-assign rows like you see here on the screen right now. Okay, so those are the nice things that you can do with profiles and groups. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and save that and watch. Now ACM is going to take you through this wizard directly into the token. And all I have to do is just enter the token number here. So I'm just going to use the internal number. Okay, now important is this. Look at the deactivation date. Because I specified this system or this profile for a credential to expire in 90 days, by default, it will expire, and it will expire exactly in 90 days from now, from the minute. Okay, so it's 12/18 right now, so it'll give me the activation on that date. So very, very helpful here, because this again allow you to standardize how you enter information in ACM, especially if you enter information manually. So if you have someone, an operator, entering that information and you want to make sure they utilize those standards, profile is absolutely great to do that. Okay, so I'm not talking about mass update right now. I'm just talking about the daily updates. I'm manually creating new identities, especially for contracts, right? So keep in mind, I could be entering my identities in ACM automatic through my Active Directory or a SQL database that I have from HR, which will populate all the users in here. But then I have, like in this case, I have contractors that will come into my facility to do some type of job. I want to give them access to certain locations. I can use profiles to do that and make sure that I don't miss any type of permissions that I want to pre-assign to them. All right, I'm gonna go back to, and we can go ahead and save that. And now that record is there. So I'm gonna go back to the presentation and let's keep going. Let's continue here. So here's the scenario that I'm gonna place. I have a identity, or I have a group of people, I have a group of people. My accounting department has moved from the 3rd to the 6th floor, and I want to update all card holders from the accounting department to have access to the new location, to the new floor. So how do we do that? Let's take a look. So I'm gonna go ahead. First thing I need to do is create a group of individuals. If I already have the group, awesome, easy to do it. If I don't, it's pretty easy. I'm gonna go here, create a group, and I'm gonna go ahead and create the, let's call this the accounting department right there. Okay. Once again, right, notice that you see this throughout ACM. We provide very few items in here in the beginning, and as soon as you save, we try to guide you and we'll provide now more information, okay? So now let's go ahead and do members of, members, and let's go ahead and add identities, okay? And I'm gonna go down here and pick department. And I'm gonna select accounting, hit search, and that's my group right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the first one, hold shift in my keyboard, pick the bottom, and move it over. That's how I create a group there. Now, here's an interesting thing about this. If I go into any one of those individuals, of those identities here, under their group, they will have this group there. So here, real quick, let's go ahead and pick, let's pick Donald. Donald right there. If I go here to groups, right there, the group we just created. He belongs to other groups, which is great. So you can also use multiple groups or assign people to multiple groups depending what you're trying to do. But notice that now it belongs to that group. Okay, great. Now that I did that, let's go ahead and go to profiles. So we want to change some permissions. So I'm going to create, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create access to elevator or access to 6th floor. Simple as that. Just like that. Okay, hit save. Because I just want to do permissions, I'm not going to change anything here in the first tab. Okay, notice I'm not changing anything. I'm just leave this in blank. Whatever you leave in blank, it will remain. It will not affect the users, will not affect the identities that you're applying this to. So I'm going to leave this blank. I'm going to go to roles, and here's what I'm going to do. So once again, now, because I'm applying this to a group of people, I could say, you know what? I want to completely reset their permissions, their rows, and I'm going to add in the equal sign here. I'm going to add the groups that I want that entire group to have. Basically, I'm replacing their rows with this new one. Or I could say, some of them have different rows. I don't want to mess with that. I just literally want to add and remove what I need to do here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add elevator 6th floor. I should have here somewhere, right there. Okay, and I'm going to remove the 3rd floor, which is right there, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, and that's it. I'm not gonna change anything else. I'm done here. So now I can go ahead and click in profiles, and I can apply that elevator 6th floor. But before I do that, let's do this. Let's close that, and let's pick this camera right here. Okay. So right here is my elevator. So right now, these users have access to the 3rd floor. So let's go ahead and check that, make sure this works. Okay, so I can open the third floor. That's great. So now I'm going to go ahead and change that. And if you remember, so we created this. Let me go back there here again and just show me one more time. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a 6th floor access elevator, and I'm removing the 3rd floor from this group. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit profile. This is what this profile does. Now I'm going to apply this to a group. Super simple. Now that I have the profile, I just go ahead and click here and pick the group I want. Okay, so I can do, I can just open up groups in here, pick the necessary group. In this case, I want to do that to the accounting group. So let's go ahead and do that. And I can go ahead and click OK. This is processed. Because I have less than 10 items on purpose, I did that in this example here. I can now go back to those identities. Once again, I'm going to pick Donald. If you remember, he had access to the 6th floor. And I mean to the 3rd floor. Now he kept all his access, and now he's got access to the 6th floor, right? So if we go back to the camera now, let's go ahead and present that same card again to the 3rd and 6th floor. So first, let's do 3rd floor. No access. Oh, I did something wrong there. I'm supposed to have access to the 6th floor. Let's go back here. Maybe I change that. Is the doors be messing with the doors a little bit? So let's take a look if those doors are running properly. I might have those doors in a lockdown right now. Nope, all my doors are running okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look in that profile again. This is, oh, let me see here. If you're not sure what the problem is, this is your best friend. You just come in into the events and it will tell you. So it's an authorized reader, so Minnie doesn't have access to this door. So let's see why. Maybe I didn't assign this properly to her. So let's do Minnie. Go to rows. Oh, she got 6th floor. Okay, so then let's trace this down. Let's go to the row. Let's take a look at that. I think it's because I replaced the reader. And let's take a look here in this elevator 6th floor. And yep, that's good. And this is that right there. Okay. And then let's go to the access group and elevator 6th floor. Yeah, that's the problem. I keep confusing my elevators. That's not my elevator. The one I'm doing is this one. Okay. This is a good example. So let's go ahead and do that again. So let's see if this works now. Present the card, 3rd floor, not working. Present the card again. Oh, my it's busted on the 6th floor. So if I go back here, I should have that working properly now. Invalid card access. All right. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look in here. Okay. Make sure the schedule is right. Yep. My schedule looks good. And then once again, back here to the 6th floor. I'm using my elevator. Yeah, okay. Monday to Friday. Ah, okay. I got you now. All right, good deal. So now I just gotta do is change in here, and let's see if this works. Just for the sake of finishing this quickly, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see if this works now. So now if you look, go ahead and present that again. Third floor. But 6th floor now as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going because otherwise I have a lot of material to cover here. So let's take a look in policies. So in ACM, here is something that we can do with policies. It is the highest priority in ACM. So when you're configuring this for security, when I do a lockdown, you will see that priorities, and I'll show you a graph in just a second, will provide the highest priority in ACM. Okay. It also allow you to change hardware configuration. So similar to what you just saw in profiles, that I can change identities, I can also change hardware configuration using policies. So profiles for identities, policies for hardware configuration. Okay, so here's an example of how that works, or the priority level. We're going to go ahead and take a quick look here in the priorities. The highest priority in ACM, if you set a door policy in that door with a priority, with the policies, is the highest priority. So policies are the only one that can change policy itself. Okay, no other items underneath that can change priority. So if you have a door that you set, let's say in the GUI, and you open that door manually in the GUI, priority will come in and we'll override that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we're gonna go to, first of all, we're gonna go to policies, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a policy here. And this will be for doors. And let's say this is a, let's call this a priority lockdown. Okay, go ahead and hit save. And because I assign doors, Mercury comes up. If I put inputs or outputs, then other tabs will come in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this just for the sake of keeping this simple. To activate priorities in here, you need to use the custom mode down here, and this priority becomes, so right now I'm clicking, it's not available. So I'm just gonna go here and say this will be lock no access. Okay, and I want this to be 24/7 because it will be a lockdown, and I want that on priority. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save that. And what I'm gonna do is assign this to a group of doors that I want to do. Okay, no doors are assigned right now, so all I have to do is just go to groups, pick the doors that I want. So I'm gonna use this doors here, is the one that you see on screen. I'm gonna go here to policies and go ahead and assign that. So that means when I go in policy and I turn that policy on, it will immediately set my doors in lockdown. Okay, so I can go here manually do that just by installing it, or I can go into a global action okay? And I can go here and create a lockdown. So let's do a priority, let's do that, priority lockdown. And this will be a policy, and it will be a policy install. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. And now I have my policy, my priority lockdown right there, okay? Right there. So I can execute manually here. I can put this on a dashboard if I want to do that, or I could use a global linkage and say if this input point is in alarm condition, let's say a panic button, if I press the panic button, go ahead and execute this priority lockdown, okay? And then this will execute. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you, just to show you how this works. I'm gonna go ahead and go over here to this other browser. Oops. And I'm gonna pick that same group of doors. Those are my doors right there. And let's go ahead and open this door here. I'm gonna unlock this door manually. Okay. So the door now is unlocked. So if I look over here, this is the door right here that I'm looking at. The door is unlocked. Okay. So let's go ahead and go into priorities. So I'm using a different browser. So here's a scenario here that I'm trying to show you. This user right here, this browser that you see, I'm using a browser called Brave. So in this browser, I'm logged in with a person that has no priority assigned to it. So priority is a delegation that allow you to manipulate the priority function. So if you don't have that, that means you don't have enough permissions to change the system in a situation like that, and that's pretty important. I have the system in lockdown mode. I only want very few people to be able to unlock that door or to restore the system, and this is what priority is doing for us, is preventing people without that permission from changing the system lockdown or whatever configuration I have at that moment. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to my main browser where I have what I'm running as a priority, and I'm gonna go ahead and execute that priority mode. So go ahead and click on that. What's gonna happen is the priority, the policy now is turned on. So if I go here to policies, you will see that that policy now is enabled. If I take a look at the reader, now is in lock mode, okay? And if I go into ACM, so I'm gonna look into the other one, now is in priority lock no access. Now, if I go over here with this user and I try to restore this door, for example, it will tell me that I don't have priority to do that right there, okay? Now I can go back to the other browser because I'm logged in, and I can go ahead and here, and I'm just gonna go and unset that priority. So in other words, this would be maybe another button. This will be a function on a dashboard where I can do a lockdown and restore from lockdown, go back to normal operations, and then you will see that type of behavior, right? So if I go back now to the other browser, now the doors are back to normal. So I can go ahead now and pick that door, and let's say I want to unlock that door, and this will go ahead and unlock the door. Okay, so let's go ahead and restore it back to the presentation. So that's how the priority works in here. So let's go ahead now and take a look in templates. So templates, it's pretty useful to configure hardware. I want to change door configuration. So similar, so template policies will allow you to set lockdowns and do things on a request or as an action. Template is similar to profiles, but in templates, what I want to do is change configuration of something. So let's say I want to add a new card format to all my doors. How do I do that? Do I have to go to the 64 doors that I have, or can I just use something different? Can I use a template, right? So that's how the template is used. So I think we did that already. So let's go ahead and just take a look in, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look in templates here for a second. Let's see here. Yeah, good deal. So I can go ahead and go to physical access templates. Okay, I can go here and create a template. And let's say that I want to create a template to change my, I want to apply a new LED mode in my reader. Okay, so I'm going to use a generic one, and here's where I can go and set all sorts of different. So anything that you don't change will remain the way it is in ACM. Okay, so I could say I want to enforce my card and pin. Let's say I have perimeter readers during the day. I want this to run card or pin. On the nighttime, I want to do card and pin. So I want to add an extra security. How do I do that? Well, you create a template, and then we can go into job specification and assign that template or pick that template with a group of doors and tell them what time we want that to execute. Okay. So in this case, all I want to do is just change the LED mode of that reader, which, by the way, I could do with the policy as well. I'll just want to go here and change. Actually, let's do this. I want to let's use this right here. I want to do a card and pin. So this will be card and pin, outside, card and pin doors, just like that. Okay, and that's all I'm going to change. I just want to change to card and pin. Let's see, anything else I want to change in here? Let's do the LED mode just in case. All right, so in normal operation, my reader is, in this particular reader here, is yellow. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that to maybe another format. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now what I can do is either come over here in a batch update, similar to the way we did in Identities. I can click here and do a batch update. Okay, and this will be for those readers. Or I could go right over here, my account, go to job specs, create a new job spec, and let's say this card and pin, and then I would have to create another template to put them back to card or pin, and I would use door update and select the group of doors that I want. So let's say I want those doors, and I want to set this to card and pin. Okay, and the off hours would be card or pin. So I didn't create that, but it would be a different, it would be another template just set with card or pin. Okay, and then you put that in here. This doesn't really matter. It's more for reports, so you can leave that as PDF, for instance. So you just move to the next, and here I would say daily. And let's say that I want to do this. I can create two job specs if I want to. So one to turn it on and one to turn it off. So this will turn it on. It would be at, let's say 1800. Okay. Notice that I only have one time here. If I go back and set a off, so I'm going to pick any just to show you how this works. So now if I go back here and pick daily, now I have on and off. So let's say I want to start card and pin after 6 p.m. I want to set it back to card or pin at 8 a.m. of the next day. This is how you would do it. And then you would set next here, submit, not done yet. So now I have this there, it's not active. You notice this active here, it's not active yet. So I just have to highlight it and go ahead and hit activate. Now this job specification is active. So every day at 6 p.m., this will switch those readers to card and pin. And then at 8 a.m., we'll switch them back to card or pin. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. I'm going to go ahead and just deactivate that. And I'm going to show you now manually, how do I do that? I can go here in the profiles, in templates, pick that template, click here, and select which hardware do I want to use. Notice that I'm just showing hardware now. There's no identity. So the groups also contain identities right now, because I know I'm doing a door hardware. So this is hardware related. There's no identities in those options, right? So of groups. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Let's see if this works. My reader right now is just solid yellow. My third LED is configured to be red and orange when it's in lockdown mode. So it will be flashing that. Also, the door itself, let's take a look. This door here is configured for card or pin, as also the other ones are. So let's take a quick look here. This one should be as well. Oh, it's set to card and pin. So I'm going to go ahead and put card or pin. So when we apply that, we can see the change. Okay. So, all right, back to the other browser. So I'm going to go ahead once again, go to templates, pick the template you created, hit the batch update check mark, select the group, hit OK. It runs the update. I don't want the report, so just cancel that. And then I can go back to those doors. And they should be set now to card and pin. Right there, all of them. Oh, and by the way, the reader LED now is flashing. Okay, now why is this reader flashing green? Looks like green and red, because this is configured as Wigan, and I only have two options for color, right? Depending which wire do you pick. This reader is configured OSDP, so I have 3 colors that Mercury allow you to operate with. So orange, red, and green. So I can modify that. If I want to put this reader back to normal, I can either go into the reader itself or just go and create another template to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a very quick template here, because we got 10 minutes just to show you how quickly we can do this, right? So this is LED mode 1. So my LED mode 1 does just that. And I'm going to go here and pick mode 1, hit save. LED mode 1 right there. Apply changes to that same group. Hit OK. I should be done now. There. Back to normal. This guy would take a little bit longer to update. Okay. Cancel. That's how we do templates and updates. Okay. So in summary, so groups, again, we're about to finish. So groups, you need to create the groups either for identities or hardware that you want to do a mass update. Profiles allow you to change the identities either in a day, right? Every day, changing new identities that you create, or applying a profile to that identity, to that new identity, to specify some predefined configuration. Or I can use that to mass update everyone, just like you saw here. I can update a group of people and change their settings from elevator control or anything else that I want to. Policies allow you to change hardware configuration as well. So I can go, for example, and set doors to be in lockdown mode, and this will be the highest priority. Or I can change configuration in those doors if I want to. templates probably the easiest way of doing that, because I can go there and configure a bunch of different things, and then I can save that and use a batch update or a job specification to run those items. So that's basically what I have to show you today. Let's go ahead and open up for questions. Guys, anything in there?
I think they've all been answered.
Man, you guys been busy. Awesome. All right, any other questions? All right, Rob, what do you have for us on Wednesday?
So Wednesday, we're going to cover interlocks. So that'll be at noon Central Time.
Nice. Yeah, that's a nice feature. Very useful. Excellent. Jared, are you on the line? What do you have for us on Friday? All right, so don't forget we have our lunch and learn. So Wednesday will be noontime Central. Friday is noon Pacific time. Okay, folks, thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you guys have all a very good day. Don't forget Wednesday we got another one, a nice webinar with Rob. Thanks so much for coming. Have a great day, everyone.